Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. And we're going to be reviewing a sorry, I just sort of like deafened everyone there. But I'm going to be doing a review of this thing, which is the Angry Connor, which is actually a pretty old premium tank, to be fair. I didn't get it in the first round buy because I didn't get on Blitz whilst it was being offered, so never got it in the first round buy. But second time buy, which is for 2017 St. Patrick's Day, I picked it up. So what is this tank like? Well, it's basically a Valentine Archer. That's what you've got here. In fact, that's what it is. As you can quite clearly see, it's a Valentine Archer with a pretty cool camouflage pattern. To be honest, I mean, you know, this sort of leafy camo pattern, or at least foresty camo patterns, pretty damn cool. Also, it's got the nice picture of the, you know, traditional. I'm probably going to be stereotypical and racist here, but call him a leprechaun. I don't know if it is actually a leprechaun. It doesn't give any. It doesn't give any tank details like it does on PC about the tank. But I'm gonna say it's a leprechaun. But you know, he's sort of there, angry with his fist, with his 3-leaf clover. If only it was 4-leafed to give it that extra bit of luck. But yeah, I mean, it's got the exhaust pipe there. It's got some nice gold edged boxes on here. A random pipe right there. You got the barrel. Sorry, the keg. The keg of, I'm guessing, Guinness back there. But anyway, so yeah, it's a pretty nice model. And comparing it to something like, well, I was going to say the 5/4 because that's pretty low to the ground, but it's not really. It's a pretty big thing. But compare it to something like the Panzer IV Hydro, shall we? As you can see, it's pretty damn stealthy. But let's take a look at the tank. So, 13% protection, 67% firepower, 79% shot effectiveness, and 41% maneuverability. So, looking at the protection, you can understand why the protection is only at 13%. 20 all-round hull armor with 600 HP. So, 20 all-round hull armor, you're not going to be bouncing anything. Anything which has got a 60mm gun or bigger will overmatch your armor. So Panzer IVs, you know, the Ram 2, not quite actually, not quite the Ram 2, but the EZ4, the 5/4, the Hydro, the Chinukai, the Angry Connor itself, the T14, Panzer IV, not Churchill 3, and Churchill 1, depending on your gun selection, will be able to get through this tank very easily. Even tanks down at tier 4 will be able to overmatch your armor, such as the A32, oh, the Hetzer, and a couple of other things. I mean, damn, even this thing can overmatch the armor on that tank, because this has got a 76mm gun, which is bigger than the 60 needed to overmatch the Angry Connor's armor. So you can understand why this tank does not have a very good protection. As you can see, protection of the 82 goes straight up to 33 due to its OP hull armor. And that has 670 HP. Let's have a look at the Su-85. I think that's, yep, 650. Let's take a look at the Stug 3. That has got 520. Okay, Flak Bus 530. Let's have a look at Murica. Murica has got, well, actually no fixed hull tank destroyer, so let's ignore that. But as you can see, it's got one of the lowest HP in the game, other than the German tanks. However, there's a good reason for that, and that's the gun, and we'll come onto the gun in a minute. If you've, of course, played the Valentine Archer, you'll know exactly what the gun is. But there's the engine. Engine power 192.0, which means that the maneuverability, it weighs only 16.61 tons, and I do have this thing decked out with equipment. So yeah, it doesn't weigh that much, frankly. 16.61 with a 192 horsepower engine. Oh, alright. Discord going off. Clan Discord. Hang on, I'll just get out of that. There you go, sorry about that. But 16.61 tons with a 192 horsepower engine, which means that, yeah, okay, it doesn't give reverse speed, but anyone that's played the Valentine Archer will know that that 12 degrees, that 12 kilometer per hour top speed is going forwards, which is actually this way. Reversing, however, it goes at something like 55 kilometers an hour, which is way faster than the Valentine infantry tank, which this thing is based on. However, this thing is basically the gun is basically mounted backwards on the hull, which is typical of other tank destroyers. Not that I actually have any high-tier tank destroyers. Well, the Blaze WZ actually is a rear-mounted tank destroyer hull. Do I have any tier 8? No. Obviously no tier 9. But yeah, an example is the Blaze WZ. As you can see, engine mounted here, turret up here. As you can see, fighting compartment all down here, and then yeah, engine is sort of here where the grill is. So you've got driver, commander, gunner, loader. I think is the traditional crew layout of this thing. But yeah, as you can see, vent means that the engine is located around about here, and it is a front engine design. As you can see, Angry Connor, this entire thing basically counts as the engine, this midsection here. But yeah, so that's just a long-winded way of saying engine here, gun here, behind the engine. That's effectively what I'm getting at here. So yeah, it says only 12 kilometers per hour, but that's going that way, and that's actually the reverse speed. But because, of course, tank technically goes that way, because that's the way that the gun is pointing, means that 12 kilometers per hour is actually the top speed going supposedly forwards, but technically backwards, and it's about 45, 55 kilometers per hour going that way, which is reverse, or forwards, as it would be known as. But yeah, so it's pretty speedy going in reverse. And actually the hull traverse isn't that bad either. 45.95 degrees per second is actually very good. You can keep up with people circle strafing you, but that doesn't really matter because they'll penetrate you no matter whether you point at them or not. So yeah. As for, well, there's the engine, 15% chance of threat impact, weighs just under 1,000 kilograms. Yeah, 1,000 kilograms. And of course 192 horsepower. As for the suspension, load limit of 17.50, so you do still have a fair amount of suspension to play around with. Again, almost 46 degrees per second of suspension. Hold reverse is pretty good. Now we come to the gun, and well, anyone that's played the Valentine Archer before in PC will know exactly what the gun is all about. It is, of course, the Ordnance Quickfire 17-pounder gun Mark 7. Yes. So, it's got a 13.91 rate of fire rounds per minute. However, that's pretty damn good compared to, for example, the Chinukai, or as it's known in-game as the Shinobi, because that's how I bought this tank, which only gets an 8.89 rate of fire. Panzer IV gets a 8.84 with the 75. Churchill 1 gets a 9.20 rate of fire with the 75 high velocity, and that means that the rate of fire and DPM of this gun is very, very good. The reload time is only about 4 seconds, which isn't something that you see until tier 6 mediums. For example, the AC-4 Sentinel, the Panzer IV-S, or indeed the Fury, all of which have got oh, thank God I didn't click on the battle button. Which have actually got less rate of fire in the case of the Fury. And let's have a look at the Sentinel. 11.47. Yeah. What about the Panzer IV-S, which has got a very good gun? 13.68. So 13.68, and this thing reloads in about 4.4 seconds. 13.91, which means this thing reloads in about 4.2 seconds, which means that at tier 5, this is a very, very good damage output tank. If you can get this into a good situation where people aren't going to shoot at you, this becomes one of the most damaging things on the battlefield, and it should be the cone and concern of every single member of the enemy team. As soon as they see you, they should all just switch fire to you and just blast you with high explosive, because even high explosive will penetrate on this tank. So yeah, high explosive can wreck this thing. Light tanks especially, autocannons, anything like that, rip straight through you and that'll do massive damage to you. But the DPM on this gun and the rate of fire, combined with the penetration, which is 171 with AP, means that this thing will slice through anything at tier 5 and tier 6. And it's just an awesome gun to have. The 171 average pen with AP means that you barely have to use any APCR, which has got 239 penetration, and frankly, that's just overkill at tier 5, seeing tier 6 tanks which have got, I don't know, what's the maximum armor on a tier 6? 88, 203. It can pierce through the front of an 88 like butter. I mean, 239 at tier 5 is just unnecessary, but the gun gets it as APCR, and well, you still don't really need APCR. What does the M6 have? No, not the German Jumbo, the M6. 102 frontal hull, 102 frontal turret, 102 frontal turret. So I mean, yeah, nothing that this tank will see needs APCR, quite frankly. So load up all of the AP and you don't get a lot of ammo. Means that, yeah, you really don't need APCR on this tank. 160 average damage, yeah, 76mm gun, not a big surprise. Average damage should be recognizable. Very good accuracy, 0.34. Aim time isn't bad either, 4 seconds, which, yeah, makes this tank the perfect sniper. And, well, the gun, you just can't stop talking about the gun. It's just fantastic. As for ammunition loadout, only gets 39 rounds of 76mm armor-piercing capped ballistic capped ammunition. As for armor-piercing discarding sabot rounds, yeah, you don't really need them. And then the high explosive, yeah, nah, don't really bother with high explosive. You only carry 39 rounds anyway, and you'll burn those out pretty quickly. So the ammo loadout is a concern on this tank, especially if you mount it with a couple of things. Plus, it's open-topped, so you can't fit improved ventilation, of course. However, you can still equip the gun rammer, so go ahead and fit that. Gun lane drive, you don't really need it. Enhanced springs, maybe, to stop your tracks being blown off, but quite frankly, doesn't really matter. If your tracks get blown off, then you can always just repair them with a repair kit. And I mean, you don't really need, you don't really need enhanced springs, but if you really don't want your suspension to get destroyed, then sure, go ahead and just mount that, but there are other more useful things. Wet ammo rack, in case your ammo rack keeps getting damaged. No tanks filled with CO2, you will notice. Light spore liner, no, definitely not. The armor on this tank is terrible. Camo net and binos is a very good combination on this tank. It is definitely very viable option on this tank, and as you can see, this is how I go with it. But yeah, these two will be definitely very useful. Coated optics, if you don't want the binos camo net, but of course this tank is the epitome of being a sniper. 20mm of armor is just terrible, so camo net and binos makes this thing a perfect sniper. But if you really don't want to use binos and instead go for something like toolbox, maybe, then you can always go for the coated optics for the extra view range. And then, of course, toolbox is just a useful thing to have, but, I mean, there are other more useful things on here that you can use. As provisions, you've got the standard / improved fuel for plus 3 or 10% respectively to engine power turret traverse. Then you've got the black tea and the puddings and tea for plus 3 and 10% respectively to crew mastery. Then you've got the protective kit, 15% protection of crew from injury, 10% speed and module repair, 20% fire protection, and 10% ammo and fuel tank durability. So of course you can go ahead and mount them. I don't bother with provisions, but I mean, I don't really bother with provisions, but there are a couple of things that provisions really do come in handy on, such as, I recently mounted them on the AC-1 Sentinel, and the Matilda. As you can see, puddings and tea on these two things, plus of course on the Matilda. Just in case, I fitted a adrenaline rush, but still don't know whether I want to keep it or not. But yeah, moving on provisions to the consumables, I've gone with the standard repair kit, first aid kit, fire extinguisher. As for other things, you got engine power boost, 20% to engine power for 15 seconds with a 75-second cooldown. Adrenaline, 20% to load speed, 10% chance of damaging enemy vehicle modules, both of these for 15 seconds with a 75-second cooldown. And then you've got the multi-purpose restoration pack, which is just these things bundled into one. Now, adrenaline is useful on this tank, definitely. The rate of fire means that any increased rate of fire is going to be very, very useful. So you'll probably definitely want to mount this on there, because this will come in the most useful on this tank. But I go with the 3 standard things, repair kit, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, because say you've mounted engine power boost, adrenaline, and multi-purpose restoration pack. So you got one of these, and one of these, and you get detract out in the open, and you need a motor. So you burn your multi-purpose restoration pack, and then 10 seconds later you get shot again, and you get set on fire. What do? You can't use the multi-purpose restoration pack because, well, you've just used it and it's on a 90-second cooldown. Adrenaline won't help you, nor will engine power boost. So you're kind of stuffed because you'll keep on burning, which is why I go with the repair kit, first aid kit, fire extinguisher. And this combo and this combo have really helped me out a lot over the battles. So yeah, they're the consumables. As for the crew, can't really say anything because, well, yeah, crew skills work differently in Blitz. And that's it. So overall, it's a very, very fragile tank destroyer. However, it makes a perfect sniper. The 17-pounder gun is awesome. Plus, the paint scheme is also very novel, and I actually quite like it. But anyway, that's the Angry Car. I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.